Hey Bayek, it's me, Ian. And in today's video, yes, I've got round to doing it. I knew I would get there. Here it is. It is The Hound of the Baskervilles from 1959. Yes, this is an absolute classic. I'm putting it as Hammer horror because it is really a good gothic horror story. Though you may not always class Sherlock Holmes stories in that way, this is very much in that vein, definitely. It's definitely got that wonderful Hammer touch. Um, let's talk about it then. This was a real return for the Sherlock Holmes character, which goes right back and was at height really with the Basil Rathbone films. He kind of dominated, and this was going in the 30s and 40s, and he was synonymous with Sherlock Holmes as an actor. And then there's this period, there's a lull where there isn't really the same Sherlock Holmes stories in film. And then Hammer, who always looking round, had found this story, The Hound of the Baskervilles, which with a bit of adaptation could fit into their series of films. So that's what happened, and it's exciting. I'm going to make a very bold claim here. This could be the best Sherlock Holmes film ever made. That's a massive statement, I know. And the TV series certainly was, the TV series that came, that I think it's in the 70s, I think 80s period of time. That is often seen now as a major Sherlock Holmes interpretation. But here we have Peter Cushing portraying Sherlock Holmes, and he was quite an expert on Sherlock Holmes apparently as well, that we're here. So he fits perfect into this role, and he just totally excels in this film. Anyway, I'm just so 87 minutes long, so it's a very easy film. Rotten Tomatoes, 94%. I mean, that is massive. And generally, most critics do agree that this is one of the great Sherlock Holmes films. Even though it's been, say, in the modern films that we've had, this one's just something very magical and special happened here in this whole production. Of course, it's directed by the wonderful Terence Fisher. Yeah, Terence Fisher, who directed all the Curse of Frankenstein, directed the Dracula, the Mummy, all these early films that Hammer were putting out. What better person to direct this than Terence Fisher? He knew exactly what he was doing, what he wanted, and would bring the Hammer genius, basically, to this film. And that's what he did. And also, its screenplay was written by Peter Bryan, who, certainly with input from other actors, like Peter Cushing at the time of production, and Terence Fisher, were making this film very much their own. They weren't these people say, hey, you've got to stick to the book. No, of course you haven't. I keep banging away about this through all my videos. You do not have to stick to a book just because that's the source. If you can enhance what you're doing, then great, and that's fantastic. It's your take on it, and that's what matters, no matter what people say. So they decided to change a few things, which they did, particularly the villain in this story as well. They just adapted it perfectly, and it works so well. Everything about this story, I think the moment you getting into it, you think, wow, we're there. The opening, for instance, is typical Hammer, and I love it. It is where you've got the actual curse, you've got how that curse comes about with Sir Hugo Baskerville, who is an evil, awful character who meets his fateful end with the Hound, and that's where the legend begins. That's how it starts off. Anyway, I just digressed a bit there. Let's go into the cast quickly. The great thing about this film as well is the cast, and what we have is Andre Morel, who I've mentioned a few times. Quatermass, he sticks out, as we know, playing the Professor. Also, I reviewed very recently, I think last week, I reviewed The Plague of the Zombies, and he was in that one. He's appeared in a lot of these great films of the period. Just look at his filmography. But he plays Watson really straight, much more straight and better, I think. It doesn't make him look like a buffoon. In the 30s, Rathbone Sherlock Holmes films, he's almost like a comic character. Yes, he's enjoyable as that, but what we have here is Andre Morel playing Watson in a more intelligent way for me. Beautiful. He still has that wonderful. He's just got a great style to it, and that's how good an actor he is. So that is important to the film. Again, lifting the film up even more. And we've got Christopher Lee. He's playing Sir Henry Baskerville, the last one in the line. And he plays this as very straight. He's a good guy. And he's like a dashing hero almost, he's new to this, and he plays that very well. I still think slightly that Peter Cushing just dominates the film, just that extra bit. But what a combination these three actors produce, and I think it's great, absolutely fantastic. The leading lady in this film is Marla Landy, who plays Cecile. Cecile Stapleton. The Stapletons obviously are a very important part of the story in the film. She's an Italian actress, and she adds that certain class in her role to the part, which I think works well for the film. It adds that extra bit. And we've got Francis de Wolfe playing Dr. Mortimer. Actually, Dr. Mortimer is an interesting character because he's a bit of a pompous ass. He's not always a very nice person, but he thinks he's doing the right thing. And I mean, he may mean well, what have you, but he does come across it. It's just another eccentric bit. And then there's do you remember the bishop in this? Well, he's now like a little bit of comedy relief by just a wonderful performance there. And you may spot John Le Mesurier. Yeah, I said that. Who you would never guess would become a great comedy character is Sergeant Wilson in Dad's Army. But he plays this very well, very straight, and that's how he began. So there is. This is some. I haven't gone through all the cast, but these are sort of the main sort of cast people that are there that really drive the film and make it interesting. I think the great thing about this is that the location filming is very good, mixed with this usual studio perfection. It's Chobham Common in Surrey, and the Fensham Common. Um, these are great locations. They really add to it, I think so. Of course, the brilliant Terence Fisher is able to do that so well. I think one of the complaints, but I think Terence Fisher does very well. Again, you consider that the budget is very limited. Terence Fisher is able to create, through his brilliant direction, certain almost uh, special effects, really. Like the dog, for instance, to make that dog look kind of scary is very difficult because apparently it wasn't like that at all. And they put this mask on, and there's all the things with that. And he had to, the way he did the filming, he had to try and make it look scary, but apparently it wasn't that scary at all. But I think that doesn't matter. He does well, and it adds to the atmosphere, and I think that's really good. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I think it is very well put together in terms of its direction, because you just feel you're watching something that is on a bigger budget. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the designs of the sets, as usual, inside are perfect. They're just so atmospheric. You think Hammer is just doing everything right at this period of time. Well, I might argue that it continued even when we get into the 70s. It was still trying, even though it was getting near the end. But this is brilliant, brilliant production and direction. You just can't really argue with it, because this film is a great example of that. Like all the others. The Curse of Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, all these films of that period. Fantastic. This is there, up there with them. Um, I've, over the years, I remember seeing this film probably quite early, in 1960s, on TV. I remember seeing it, absolutely loving it. I thought it all, as a child, it caught my imagination, and then through the years I've watched it, and then when you get your own copy, you can watch it in more. It's almost like a comfort movie. This, it's one that if you see, I've got a few films I can name a few films, but this is one of them that if I think, oh, I just want to watch something, and put this on. Yeah, it's one of those things you can watch it. And you can watch it any time of the year, anywhere, any time of day. You can watch it afternoon, you can watch it late at night. You can. It's that good. I just love it, and I think a lot of other people do. From what I get, there is a lot of love for this film, and I'm really grateful and thankful that Hammer produced this, and that all these years later we can enjoy it still, and I can watch it now. Fantastic. And of course, just a word about this. This is on Arrow. Now, I presume when this was first released, it would have had a booklet with it. I haven't got that booklet. It's not in here. This is what's in there, but I'm not too. I can't get the booklet. It's not the end of the world at all. But the special features are excellent. The restoration's good. It looks fantastic. And the documentaries on here are really good. There's a major documentary. It's one big documentary about the film. Got some great talking heads on there who we all know and love, as you'll see if you watch it. Gives you lots of stories, information, fantastic interviews, everything. Highly recommended, this Arrow release, and you can still get hold of it quite easy. And get it if you really like this kind of thing. you may say it's not strictly horror, but I think it goes under that title definitely. Um, and don't be put off by anything being a Sherlock Holmes story. Sherlock Holmes is some. He's one of those characters that will just last, like James Bond, like Batman, Superman. They're iconic characters that just last and test time. They develop and change, but they're still the same underneath, the same kind of characters. And each actor gives maybe different interpretations of that. And certainly Peter Cushing here, he did go on to a TV series portraying Sherlock Holmes as well. But he always seems a great actor. You know, when he says, "Elementary, my dear Watson," you know, it's just great. You know, elementary Watson. I mean, the phrase is just there. It's just, oh dear. I said my dear. I don't think he says my dear. He says elementary Watson. You know, it's just, oh, what can I say? Brilliant. So, anyhow, I've been rambling on, probably forgetting things and like I do, but anyhow, I try not to. But anyhow, there's an idea. Just so all I say is subscribe. Yes. Then we let you know when we put these videos out. I'm going to be carrying on with all these old horror films as well as looking at new films, doing everything that I do, you know, areas and whatever takes my fancy and what I feel passionate. I'll just put a video out. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a like. If you like Hammer films, we've got lots more Hammer coming. And all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.